Welcome everyone. My name is Catherine Nelson and I'm the Director of Customer Loyalty here at FranklinCovey. I'm delighted today to introduce Bill Bennett, who for the last 7 years has been the President of our Organizational Solutions Business Unit, to our webcast today. Bill is going to be leading our webcast and we're going to be looking at leading in turbulent times. Currently, Bill is the head of our leadership practice, and Bill, welcome. It's exciting to have you here today.
Thanks, Catherine.
This is a very difficult time for many organizations, for many leaders, and we know that even just in the last 2 or 3 months, the Dow is down 33%, the NASDAQ is down 38%. There's a number of different companies that are closing their doors and walking away. People are afraid of being let go of their position. And today what I thought would be really terrific for us to talk about is what you can do as a leader, what you can do as a person within an organization to really lead and manage within these really turbulent times. So Bill, one thing that I've been thinking about is, as we talk about this, what do people need to do differently now than they've been doing before?
Well, that's a great question. Maybe where we should start to answer the question is talk about what they're facing right now. In fact, if you want to be depressed, just read the front page of the Wall Street Journal. If you just go down that column, the left column in the Wall Street Journal, article after article, right, is the big three automakers are in a crisis. Companies are revising their forecasts. Their outlook is poor. Consider, though, what's happening inside most people's companies. If your company is like most companies right now, here's some of the things that are probably going on. Probably got cost cutting going on like mad, both intelligent cost cutting as well as probably some things that aren't so smart. You've probably put a freeze on hiring. You've probably stopped company parties and outings. Travel is probably restricted. And probably senior leadership is gathering in lots of closed-door meetings. Lots of calculators, lots of whiteboard work, and people coming out looking very concerned. It's pretty much the norm in most organizations right now.
That's very true. I've heard a lot from different people talking about just a lack of information, really wondering what's going on.
Yeah, and that's, in fact, that's a good point. Is probably the last characteristic is communication has probably gone down substantially. And of course, what happens in a vacuum in communication is people's fears and concerns go up. So to your first part of your question, so what do we do about it? Probably the single most important point for a leader in leading in a time like this is to keep in mind that the things that we know to be the right attributes of great leadership are more true under circumstances like this than ever before. So you might see now how could they be more true? They're true or they're not true.
True, they're not,
And there's a misconception, I think, among a lot of people that in a time like this, it's a time for some kind of martial law. Leaders need to reel in the freedoms of the people. They need to be more declarative of what's going to happen. It couldn't be more wrong. And let's give an example. Let's just take a diet, for example. We know that good diet, good nutrition is always important. But when you're healthy as an individual and you vary from good nutrition, it's not good for you, but you generally don't feel the damage. When you, however, are stressed, you're exhausted, you're not feeling well for various reasons, and you vary from good nutrition, the damage done from variance of the right way is far greater under those circumstances. That's exactly the situation now. The variance from the attributes of great leadership causes more damage under a situation like this than it does in good times.
Interesting. So when you're talking about the variance, you're talking about people communicating less. What other things do you see in terms of people varying from great leadership in times like this?
Yeah, let's talk about it in the context of the 4 imperatives of great leadership. We outline as an organization that there are 4 imperatives that a leader must undertake if they're going to be a great leader. The first of these is inspiring trust. And like I said a minute ago, these things are more true now than under any circumstances. And we said a second ago, what happens in a void of communication? Well, people worry. They assume the worst. It's a plot. Things are going terrible. We're about to close our doors. Whatever's going to happen like that. So the thing that you can do to inspire trust in these situations is communicate. Communicate 10 times what you would normally communicate. Even if you're afraid people are going to be sick of it. Give them the true story. Everybody knows what's going on. If you stand up as a leader and you say, we don't really have to worry as an organization, they're going to be even more concerned because they think you don't get it.
Right.
Stand up, give them the straight situation, give them the scoop, tell them where you are as an organization, tell them where you need to be to succeed in this situation, and you're going to inspire the trust of the organization in you as a leader that A, you get it, B, you're willing to talk about it, and C, you have a plan.
Interesting. So in terms of communicating and over communicating, can you think of some things that you can do to over communicate during this time? Ways that you can keep people informed of what's going on?
Well, there's always the traditional formal method we've used for years as leaders. I mean, it's just getting memos out to the field, and that's good. But it's also take advantage of the technology. Take advantage of the ability to, drop voicemails out to people. Send out a text to your employees, just little bits of positive information or any kind of information to keep them updated. But just keep it coming so that they feel like they're in touch with what's going on.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about clarifying purpose, because obviously it can feel like at this point that your main purpose is just to stay alive.
Mm-hmm.
Your main purpose is to serve your shareholders and to somehow make a profit. And there's no doubt that obviously that's a very important purpose. Is there anything different that you would do at this particular point in terms of clarifying purpose around that?
Again, what I would do that might be different is clarify purpose to a greater degree than you've ever done so. I mean, what happens in a crisis? Think about it. If you've ever been anywhere where there's been an accident or a tragedy of some kind, what happens to 90% of the people? They freeze.
That's true.
They just stand there and
Right.
they watch. And then a few people are willing to try to help and they jump in, but generally they might do the wrong thing because they don't know what's necessary. And there's a very few people that step up and actually get involved. I had an experience several years ago. I was flying cross country on I think it was large airplane, 747. The man right behind me had a heart attack on the airplane. And his wife started screaming. I stood up along with everybody else, and we actively stood there and did nothing. And it wasn't because we weren't interested. It was because I don't know what to do. What if I lay him down and he's supposed to be sitting up? What if I help him sit up and he's supposed to be laying down? I might kill this guy if I do the wrong thing. Well, our employees are doing the same thing. They're frozen in a time like this because they're concerned. What changed everything on this airplane? A surgeon came running back to distant coach where I was sitting from first class and said, get this man in the aisle and somebody start pumping his chest. Well, when he asked for people to pump his chest, there were 50 volunteers. People were more than ready to help. They just weren't sure what to do. And so in a time, a turbulent time, a frightening time in an organization's life, it's the same thing for a leader. Clarify purpose. Why are we here? What are we trying to do as an organization? And what do we need to do right now?
That's a great example, Bill. I mean, when you think about it, I think all of us can relate to a crisis, some sort of drama, some kind of emergency, and just feeling helpless, just feeling like we didn't know what to do. Let's take it from the other perspective. Just say that my leader is not communicating to me what I need to do. I think many of us have felt that we just can't get communication. What kinds of things do you think that we can do to actually start knowing what to do in this kind of situation?
To help a leader that isn't communicating?
That's right. Who may be frozen, him or herself, and feeling like, I don't want to say anything until I know what to do.
Right.
And maybe isn't a great communicator. So what can we do so that we can actually start giving mouth to mouth or doing whatever is required in that situation?
Yeah, mouth to mouth in these business situations probably isn't the thing that's most helpful. But you never know.
You never know.
You know, that leader might be aspirating. It might be the most helpful thing that could happen
That's
to
right. That's right.
That's a great question, though. And I think one is just very simply ask. You know, go forward and say, hey, we'd love to know what's going on. Probably in conjunction with that is affirm to them that, hey, we will be the best. We will be able to perform the best if we know what's going on. We all know there's issues. We're all in this together. Help us understand what the problem is so we can join in the effort to try to work through whatever the situation is. Because I think that lack of communication on the part of leaders usually comes from the fact that they don't want to give any misinformation. You kind of alluded to this a second ago.
Right.
Any misinformation too soon. Assure them that, hey, just let us know what you know as you know it, and we're flexible.
Yeah. So there's a very proactive approach, I think, that that we can take during this time. It's interesting.